Welcome to Emuna is Our Future with Passing of a True Sage. We are not so excited, unfortunately, with what we just went through this last few days, even though Purim was very uplifting. But we have to be real that we climax Purim with the sad news in Jerusalem that Rav Chaim Kanievsky ZT was Nifter, passed away. That's the polite way of explaining this very important event in the world that took place on Erev Shabbos, Purim, Shushan Purim. We mentioned it yesterday in our important class, Emuna Class Weekly. Unfortunately, Rav Arush himself wasn't here to be able to give the class, but we had Rav Eli G to fill in, and we were able to discuss Rav Chaim Kanievsky's passing, Zatzal Zecher Tzadik L'Brocha. He should be remembered as one of the righteous, and he should be a merit for us and for all the people of the world to hopefully listen and Makayim to establish what he set out in his teachings. Someone who was a huge teacher, a tremendous sage, a tremendous role model. It's sort of beyond words. I can't really do credit to how great Rav Chaim was and his legacy, and the family and the people that he was and is, the simplicity, the greatness. We can't even really give the full hesped or full honor that he deserves. So we're going to today to discuss how we can, in a real way for us personally, internalize these big moments which take place in the Jewish history when a big sage leaves this world and enters into the higher realms. And we understand from this great teachings that will be relevant for us to be able to impact our daily life right now in 2022 and 5782. Right now, we are holding just after Purim. We are in the Dalet Parshias with the second part now. We mentioned last week the idea of the Yud and K. The first two Dalet Parshias, we had Parsha Zochor already, first Parsha Shkolem, then Parsha Zochor, the Yud and the K. And now we are already in the second part, Parshas Para, Parshas Chodesh. This Shabbos will be Parshas Para. And it's very significant, as we mentioned yesterday with Diane Elgrad, I hope you'll watch the class, that when a tzaddik passes and leaves the realm, leaves the world, as we were unfortunately listening to the Hespedim in the Levaya yesterday, very intense energy in the world. I don't know if everyone out there felt the same, but it was, thank God, broadcasted and we were able to experience it globally. The Hespedim, the Levaya of a huge tzaddik, a huge righteous person. Yes, Shalom, Sydney, Australia. So I do apologize if our energy yesterday and today is a little bit more sadder, but it's a real loss, as you saw from Rav Arush. Whoever follows me on the TikTok or the status or the general Rav Arush page, we see Rav Arush crying bitterly, as he's walking towards the kever of Rav Chaim, the burial place of Rav Chaim Kanievsky ZT. And we have the power, all of us, to now tune into this light that he left, his legacy, the stories, the inspiration, the character traits, the simplicity, the wonderful teachings, the wondrous teachings, the Pesach, the godless, the greatness of teaching us and guiding us as a leader should. We all are inspired, hopefully now, to step forward in our life, to take a bit more responsibility, to fill a little bit of the void, the space in our own little way, what takes place when a righteous person leaves the world. And to understand with this Shabbos Para, there's a tremendous hint in the kapara, the cleansing, the rectifications, the tikkun olam that takes place when a righteous person, when a big sage leaves this world, passes on. It's up to all of us to understand that when this happens, it's not whatever. It's not just another righteous person left. He's gone to Gan Eden, to where all the righteous souls go. And we down here just have to get on with our life as if, nothing really so significant happened to us. That's not true. The reality is that the timing and the legacy, the energy, the fact that there were so many people that we all know, hopefully, who had the merit to meet Rav Chaim in his house. One of my sons had the merit to be in his home and get a blessing. One of my younger sons wanted to go, wasn't able to, so he was able to make it to Levaya. My other sons were watching it, and my daughters were watching it online. And we're all able, one of my daughters did a course on Rav Chaim's Holy Rebbetzin, Bat Sheva Kanievsky. She was a holy woman who she studied her life and was able to understand from her such tremendous levels of connection to Hashem, and she herself was able to give blessings to all the guests that came in her simple home. And we can all take lessons. Nowadays the world is challenging us physically, emotionally, spiritually, and we can all understand from Rav Chaim that he was dealing with that challenge through the power of Torah, through the power of tefillah, through the power of kindness and love, and helping not just his own family, but also helping all the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that came to him, and the Das Torah, the guidance that he gave over. So we understand when such a sage leaves the world, one, he has connection to so many souls, all those united souls, all those neshamas, all those special souls that came to his home and connected with Rav Chaim, were able to understand when they were in his special home, in his Dalet Amas, as they say, his 4x4 of around him, that sviva of halacha and Shechina Kadosha, the dwelling place of Hashem's presence. They connected into this holy, righteous person, and all of us, in our own way, by listening to the general proclamations of the Gedolim, or the righteous leaders of our generation. Rav Arush himself has been to Rav Chaim many times, as we saw. We posted a beautiful video of them meeting together, and Rav Chaim giving blessings to the Mostas, to all the different books, and also the campaign of loving every person unconditionally. This is something which Rav Chaim left when he left the world, said that the last thing we have to do is really work on our Avos Yisrael, our unity, and that's what Rav Arush, he should be well, has been discussing and pushing in our classes before he was no longer able to give our classes the last few months. That when we pray for his return, Reb Shalom ben Yamna, in the merit of the righteous tzaddikim, he should be able to return and be able to hear from him sitting right here. But Baruch Hashem, Rav Dain Elgod, a student of Rav Arush, is doing a very good job right now. In the meanwhile, while we're waiting for Rav Arush to return, to give over the Das Torah, the guidance from Rav Arush, and the fact that Rav Arush himself, Paskin, we shouldn't take this for granted. We should realize how important these classes are. All the classes that go on in the studio, all the different content we're putting out. Rav Arush made a big point yesterday when he said to Rav Dain Elgod, I think it was Motzi Shabbat, he said to him that you should not go to Levaya because you need to give the class tomorrow in English. So the class we gave yesterday here in the studio, and the link is in the comment section on YouTube, and is on our Facebook page and all our other pages, Baruch Hashem, and our podcast. We have the opportunity there to share an important class. The Rav Arush himself gave his Das Torah that it's more important that we give this class, that Rav Dain Elgod should go with his family, who were already going there anyway, and he should give this class in the studio in Jerusalem. And him and like myself also had to then watch the class online. That was as close as we were able to get to the Levaya, unfortunately. But we were able to hopefully tune in to that special light that was in by listening to our Das Torah, by Mekayim the mitzvah of Emunas Chachamim, of Davgabo, of being able to cleave. Because one of the questions that people have, how do I connect to Hashem? How do I come Karov Hashem, like these Parshas, Parshas Shmini, we just had Parshas Sav, and all these Parshas of Korbanos and Kashrut, as we know in this Parsha. How do I connect to Hashem? How do I become more closer to God, this infinite creator of all of existence, of everything, constantly? How do I become closer to our Creator, to our Father in heaven, to our Father who's constantly creating this world again and again, to our Rabbanu Shalom, the Master of the world? How do we come closer to this oneness, to this truth in ourselves and to Hashem and Yisbarach? How do we become Korov La Hashem? So we know many different Mekoros. One is, as we mentioned here, the idea of emes, of being truthful. And that's connected with the Torah and with tefillah, by learning the Torah, by connecting to Torah. I was just hearing a podcast, the opposite way of unfortunately, from the person who was hosted there, that Lex Friedman. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He recently just interviewed Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg. We all know that we're here together with Facebook and all the platforms that we use there, with Instagram and everything else. Mark Zuckerberg over there was interviewed by Lex Friedman recently, and where I came across Lex is through Joe Rogan's podcast, And more recently, he interviewed someone called David Wolpe. I'm only mentioning him just for the sake of understanding that Torah is Min Hashamayim, Torah is Messinai, Torah is Kedosha, Torah is holiness. The whole Torah, Chumshei Torah, and all of Tanakh is from Hashem. Make it very clear, this clarification for our people. And you know this by seeing Rav Chaim, just being in his Dad and Amas. You can't say that any of that Torah that he brought down through Shas, through Poskim, through all the different Kol Torah Kula, not just a little bit, the whole Torah, all of Torah that he was able to learn and understand. How can you say anything other than that was from Hashem? That Hashem Yisbarach was guiding him to the Ratzon Hashem, to the will of God. And that's very fundamental to Emunas Chachamim, to have Emunah in our rabbis understand and to undo some of the mistakes that some of these individuals unfortunately say in the name of the Torah. But they say they're not orthodox. They make these distinctions. This is not an orthodox opinion. There's no distinction when it comes to Torah Kedosha other than it's from Hashem. Torah Hashem Temima. It's Psalm. Yeah, the Torah of Hashem is perfect. It's from David HaMelech. We read it in Tehillim, and the Psalms are read by all people of the world. Yeah, everyone knows the holiness of Psalms. I remember growing up, unfortunately, at school when I was in a general non-Jewish school in Harrow on the Hill, where Winston Churchill's buried up there, and we went into the church that's next to his graveyard. Unfortunately, I didn't know that I wasn't allowed to be in such a place, but I went in, and we said Mizmor David. We sang it, or whatever, the English version. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. And I didn't know exactly, what this was, but I knew that it was Psalms, and I knew that I was Jewish, and I knew that this was something which was from my people. And we were saying it in English, and it meant something to me even then. It touched on something, even in such a place. That Hashem's light can go very far. And this understanding that the Psalms, the connection, the truth of Tehillim, of Tanakh, of every little capital, of every little bit of Torah and every bit of holiness that we grow. This is Torah Hashem Temima. This is the yichud, the unification of us and our Creator. As it says in the Holy Tanya, that when you learn Torah, your mind becomes davik to Hashem Yisbarach. You become one. You're learning, your thoughts become one with the one who created the Torah, who is constantly creating creation. And the fact that existence exists is because Hashem Yisbarach looked into the Torah Kedosha and created the world. So everything around us, this wonderful studio in Jerusalem, this wonderful world, even though it's a little bit cold out there and we want it to get warm, please God, we want to get ready for Aviv, for Chodesh Nisan, this Shabbat, Shas Bevarchim. We want to bring down a beautiful Chodesh Nisan. Yismuchu Hashemayim v'Sagal Haaretz. There should be rejoicing in heaven and joy in the land. Yes, Yismuchu Hashemayim. The heaven should rejoice. V'Sagal Haaretz. There should be joy in the land. This is a pasuk also from Tehillim. Yes, we say we want to have, and it's Rosh Tevis Yud Kei Vav Kei. This is the Shem Hashem, the Gilui of Hashem, His ishtalshelus, His transcendence coming into the world for all the different levels of creation, constantly creating and creating creation, comes through the Torah Kedosha. He looked into the Torah, as it says in the Zohar Kodesh. He looked into the Torah and created the world. The Torah is the pneumius, the inner aspect of all of creation. So to take the Torah and turn it into some intellectual topic, some critique or something intellectual you can go debate someone with, is taking the Torah Kedosha, unfortunately, and I don't even want to say it, but it's not what the Torah is meant for. It's meant to be learned with a humility, an understanding, a foundational yesod that this is Hashem's Torah. This is Torah's Hashem. This is Torah Kedosha. We have to make that very clear. So when we learn about kashrus, it's not just because it's something which is convenient for the Jewish people, because Baruch Hashem nowadays there's so much kosher food everywhere. We understand that the kosher food level's gone up, and maybe it's healthier because there's more rules on how it's produced, etc., etc. These aren't the reasons. It's not about tamei mitzvah. It's not just about the reasons of practicality for our own life. It's to understand it's a sevuya of Hashem. That Hashem Yisbarach is commanding us through the Torah to keep kashrus. Hashem Yisbarach, the creator of the world, the best backup a person could ever want, the biggest boss a person could ever have. This is the true reality, that this creator of ours, Hashem Yisbarach, who created the world, who knows the world better than anyone, put in the Torah Kadosh with Emunas Chachamim and guiding us that when we eat fish, they have to have scales and fins. Yeah? When we eat different parts of creation, there has to be a heksher, there has to be a kashrut, that the Rabbonim were given that mitzvah of helping us with the koyach of the Shulchan Aruch, guiding us, the halakhic guidelines, how to eat and ingest and become more holy and more kodesh, so that our body has the refinement to elevate everything physical to become spiritual. This is Parsha Shmini. This is in the Torah Kedosha. And that's why it's so important that when we're listening or we're giving over, representing Torah Kedosha, that we do it with the humility that it's from Hashem Yisbarach, that it comes with this sivui, this commandment of Hashem. Ki sham siva Hashem es achayim bracha ad olam, as it says in Psalms also, in this famous psalm, Hine tamatov v'naim. This was the psalm I sang running down the beach in Brighton. I didn't know any better. And I suddenly, my heart started opening up to the light of Hashem. Hine matov v'naim shem terimim yachad. How pleasant it would be. What that will bring unity when everyone will benefit from the truth of Hashem and the sivui of Hashem, of knowing that we're here to do the Ratzon Hashem. That was Parsha Sav as well on a certain level. The Savsa that we are commanded as the Vekas, as connection, as the Balatanya. How do we cleave to Hashem? We cleave to Hashem through the Torah, through the mitzvahs, through the Talmidei Chachomim, through these sages like Rav Chaim Kanievsky. We cleave to Hashem Yisbarach through understanding their teachings and their ways of learning how to live a more godly way. Obviously, we have to understand that, we're not chas v'shalom making a rabbi into something more than he is. He is a sage. He's a holy person. He's infused with Torah and godliness, but it doesn't make him chas v'shalom anything more than a human being. At the end of the day, is bas v'dam. As we know, Rav Chaim was put back into the ground, and I'm sure his guf shalem his holy body will be resurrected in the right time, b'kor mamish. But the point is that we understand that he's still a human being. We don't take away the humanity of every person. Always understand that difference. That we have the aspect of Adam is Aleph and Dam. Aleph is the godliness, the elikus, and it goes into the dam, into the physical, the adama, into the physical aspects of us. And the aleph of elikus, of godliness, elevates the dam. That's the whole idea. So when you're eating, you're creating blood, you're creating energy and life force. This comes on the panemius, the inner level, is aleph, is the elikus, is the divinity that's giving us chiyas, vivifying all of creation, constantly giving vitality to everything we do. If we understand these clear realities, the more we learn, say for example Tanya, or then we learn L'Kutim Aharon, we learn the Garden of Emunah books, we learn these books, we take these pamphlets, we start to realize how holy every single person is. As it says in the back here, someone who prays with great devotion for all the people is loved by all. Quote from Rabbi Nachman, Sefer Midas. Understand that these teachings are real, that by connecting into the essence of creation, the root level, the shorish, this is giving us a foundation of truth. And it's so important. It's such a painful aspect for me when I hear people quoting things to large populations, or a truth seeker, say like Lex, he's looking for truth, he's asking religious supposed leaders about their opinions of this and that, and then comes a representative of our people and he doesn't represent us fully. I sent him a message. I'm happy to talk to him more, to help him with this. It's obviously something he's picked up, some baggage or some confusion along his journey, and as much as he's established and he has a community and he has all these seemingly success of this world, but unfortunately he's misguiding people. And as I don't want to ever speak about people in a negative way, but it struck me in such a, these people have their opportunities that in this world to now represent the truth, and to then to minimalize it, or even worse, to distort it, to minimize the responsibility that we have as a human being to represent Hashem, especially being a Jew, especially if he calls himself a rabbi and he has now authority to make weddings, to do this, to do that. He should realize that there's a responsibility not just to himself but to all of history, to the whole. Kabbalah HaTorah is something which is consistent and constant, but it took place with a real seriousness, a real revelation of godliness and a seriousness that comes with that comes together with joy. Mishaniknas Adam Marban B'Simcha, but at the same time, look at the Ema and Yira that Rav Arush had when he was sitting in front of Rav Chaim. We had the video of Rav Chaim Kanievsky when he was sitting there, and the Ema and Yira, the feeling of pachad you felt from the video, the way Rav Arush was sitting there and getting his brochas, he didn't say anything, total bottom of bottle, nullified to the Tam Chochem that was there, the Sarah Torah, the person who brings down Psak for the generation, gives down what the Ratzon Hashem is for our generation. And unfortunately, that person's no longer with us. Rav Chaim, Baruch Hashem, Rav Arush is with us. With Dayan Elgad, his students with us, and all the other Rabbonim and the Tzaddikim that's still with us, who have the Masorah, have the continuation of this Kabbalah Satorah of Hashem, constantly revealing himself again and again. So then say someone like Lex Friedman again, I reached out to him myself. I said, I'm happy to come and represent as best I can, with Hashem's help, what the Torah Hashkafa is. And it's sad that someone like me on my level, about tshuva, someone who went on his journey, has the ability to even offer such a thing. There should be much better people than me, much bigger rabbis who know all of Torah and can quote where it is and this and that. But for our generation, we have to realize that we're now left a certain level of, as Yisomas has talked about, as orphans. We're orphaned of such righteous leaders, so we have to step up even when we're not on such a level. Like one of the questions people might have, say, but Gedalia, will be real. Let's be real. He's not officially a rabbi. We mentioned yesterday, by accident, I called him Rav Gedalia. He wouldn't want to be called Rabbi Gedalia. He's a businessman. He'll say that. That's how he describe himself. Personally, I describe him as a friend, but also describe him as someone who's inspiring. We put him on our channel weekly, hopefully, now that he's back in his, with his YouTube longer videos. We'll put him there because we want to inspire people with his energy, his real energy, that he's able to be a businessman, but be a spiritual businessman. That's the whole point, Parshas Mini, to elevate this world. It's the level of Shmona, of Ma'ala Min Teva, of the level above this world. It's the 8th level. 7 is Teva. 7 is Shabbos. 7 is the 7 colors in the rainbow. Yeah, you want to sing that? Yeah, 7 colors in the rainbow. 7 is the idea of that we're surrounded by a wall to the right, a wall to the left, forward, back, down, above, these walls around us, and inside we walk in the Shabbos, we walk into the studio, and we're surrounded by this realm. I'm looking into the camera now to give that chizuk that we're hopefully going to have this edited version this week. I'm sorry, last week I wasn't here, but we're inside the studio now. We're inside this 7th realm. This is the physical aspect of Teva, of natural, of nature, the 7 levels of this world. And then comes this world above, the Shmini, the Yom HaShmini, this elevated level, the 8th day, which officially in this week's Parsha, I believe, was Rosh Chodesh Nisan, which was a holy, holy day. We'll talk about that leading up to, please God, next week, when we're going to be getting ready for Rabbi Nachman's Yom Yoledet and Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the holy, holy day that's revealed, this Hashem revealing himself. Like we already said, even the Chodesh has a Surufei Havaya. The way Hashem forms his name is Yud Kei Vav Kei, is revealed in the fullest sense and in order. Yismuch Hashemam Segalaretz. It's a positive month. The weather's positive. Here's someone else here is writing, thank you, wonderful class. You definitely have a great blessing for having so much faith. I wish. Someone wrote here, thank you very much, Rabbi Yaakov. Yes, we're working on having more Emunah, and Baruch Hashem, we're surrounded by people here who have Emunah. And yes, it's something which we all have to pray for. People are praying for Panasa right now, people praying for money, Shefa. But the Baal Shem Tov HaKodesh says that the Chusaleinu and Rabbi Nachman teaches as well, the most important tefillah is to pray for Emunah. Daven for Emunah, as Rav Arush always teach, Tain li Emunah, Hashem, give me Emunah. Because it's never enough. There's always more and more levels. The way that life goes, that you get more and more challenges generally. My kids are getting older personally, so as the kids get older, as they say, bigger kids, bigger problems. That's just part of the reality of having children. And as they grow older, and we know ourselves, we're our own little kid, and we also develop our own issues of all different insecurities. We get more complicated how we think about life, and that's why there's so much investment now in therapy and therapeutical aspects to life. So it's up to us to simplify ourselves as much as possible and to ask Hashem, give me healing, give me Emunah, give me healthy thoughts, healthy ways of being. Help me mahanech my children, help me educate my children in the best way. Help me educate my children. If I don't have children, help me get married and have children. And if I'm not able to, help me to help other people's children to be an example so that my legacy lives on. This is the kind of tefillahs we need to keep constantly praying and praying on a daily level in order to impact our world with more spirituality, more elevation, with more positivity, and more truth. in the end, there's only so much people can just keep saying, look, I've got a good life. I don't need to invest in that kind of life, in spirituality or Torah. I've got a good life without that. I'm putter. Yeah, but you're not. And we can see the world is not allowing us to live in that illusion anymore. Look what's happening in Ukraine. All those people that had nice high-tech business who didn't outsource to a nice Ukrainian. And suddenly the whole place has been v'nahafuch. It's all been turned over. And everyone has to now look for different people to outsource. This can happen, as someone was saying on a different podcast, can happen anywhere now. I think Rich Roll was saying, it can happen anywhere in the world. Now, these kind of experiences, any minute, things can be turned over, just like they were in the wars, the previous wars, and people talking about this being the beginning of the Third World War, God forbid. We're praying for peace, as we know. We're praying now. We have this Shabbos coming up, Shabbos Parshas Para. A big tzaddik, a very holy person left the world, Rav Chaim Kanievsky. He brings with him tremendous merits and tremendous tefillas. He knew the struggles of our generation, of Ikvus to Mashiach. He knew that Mashiach was coming any moment. He lived with that reality. He's in Shemayim now, and in the based in Shamala, in the heavenly courts, and he's looking at our generation, and he's praying for us, and he knows how our struggles are so intense, and he knows all the different arguments and the difficulties we're going through as a people and as a world, and he knows politically, he knows so much of the current pain of our generation, and he's going to be there praying for us and caring for us and bringing the energy and the Torah, renewing the creation with a new light from Shemayim, from the realms we're no longer limited by the body. That's the idea of niftos. For us, it's difficult to conceptualize, but the soul level, when we start thinking on a more elevated soul level, and that's what, thank God I have my United Souls podcast and Substack and the Relationship Flow podcast, this idea that we can tune in. You can go to the description and check them out, subscribe to the Substack. I'm constantly talking about the soul level, understanding we have a soul, and understand these souls are now freer from the body once they go up. Obviously, the whole purpose is for us to be here and to elevate this world, elevate our body, elevate this world with mitzvahs and bring Hashem's presence, but to understand we're also a soul. That we're not just limited by what we see physically and what we experience, and we should never limit ourselves in our lifestyle to only be physical, to only be busy with what people think of us. It's more important to do the Ratzon Hashem, the Sivu Hashem, to tune in to the will of Hashem and to have Emunah Chachamim, to find Rabbonim and that we can listen to and learn from, to see them as role models, people that are inspirational in truth, who are Tamach Chachamim, who understand the Torah, who've internalized it, to learn from them. And even if, say, like, unfortunately, you have to hear someone like me on a weekly level, who is not such a high level like these rabbis, but Baruch Hashem, whatever level it is, that's where we have to teach. That's where we have to learn. That's where Hashem is with us on our level, in our generation, in our reality. And He's with us, helping everyone. The fact that I'm reaching out to that person, he saw my message, and hopefully it will help him. David, I'm reaching out to you publicly. I'm here to help. We're all here to help each other. We're all a nation there to be Am Echad. We're one nation. We all need each other. We need to represent our nation truly. Any other level is some things are just not acceptable, I'm afraid to say. We have to represent the truth. And that's just our job, all a goyim. We have to be a light unto the nations. Thank God I did hear a lot of light in his podcast episode over there. There was a lot of positivity because in the end the Torah is there. But it's just, there's parts that are just missing, in an obvious sense that you just can't just let it go. And that's one of the things. We have to realize that we have to make sure we're rooted in truth, rooted in Torah, so that no matter our human failings, but we're always able to come back to the truth and not get caught up by any, God forbid, any epikosis, anything that confuses our true faith, our true Emunah Shlema. And that, thank God, having someone like Rav Arush, who's been sitting here in the studio for over 60 classes, I think we had together with him, almost 60, and we had obviously all the tours I had with him, hearing someone like Rav Arush, who's so into Emunah, so one with the teachings of Emunah, what it means to have true Emunah, true Emunah Chachamim. He has Emunah towards the teachings of his rabbis, and Emunah of the Eibishter, of the oneness of Hashem Yisbarach, of being able to really pray and communicate with Hashem, to do a spodidus, to communicate and thank Hashem, to live that kind of lifestyle and to have it with such clear simplicity, and yet see him from Purim with such joy and all the different hats and the simcha, and then see after Rav Chaim Kanievsky passes away the mourning, the avelis, the crying, to see it go from this to that and see the transition and see how he was in front of him. This is us. We can learn even from these videos. We can see the energy there. I've cried for many videos, honestly, from Tzaddikim, seeing the Babcha Rebbe getting everyone ready for all the Farbrengens and the singing and the Torahs and the seriousness and the Kovid Rosh. When he's giving over the Torah, we can have shiurim like this online. Hearing a shir from Rav YY about dealing with the struggles of our time. He put up a very good shir recently, Y. Jacobson, very important class. Everyone should check it out. He's having those struggles about Kedushas Abris and Shmiras Abris. These are challenges of our time. And we know that the Gochon, the big Vov in this week's Parsha, is a remes, is a hint. So that's the Nachash, that's the snake that's on his belly. The whole idea is for us to lift up that part of ourselves, to lift up the Vav, to lift up the bris, to lift up that connection between us and Hashem, to spiritualize our being, to spiritualize our relationships with our wife and our soulmates, to spiritualize how we eat, to spiritualize our Shabbos, to realize Shabbos is a Yom Nishmasa. This week, Baruch Hashem, I'm going to be in a frat with Shlomo Katz, Be'ez Hashem, and his wonderful Kehila, Rav Shlomo Katz, and the Aarons are hosting, thank God. We had Yosef Aaron in our studio. I'm going to have the merit to be by his wonderful home, and I give a big thank you in advance already to him and his family. Very excited to go there, Baruch Hashem. And we should realize that we all need a new abundance. Everyone, this new year of Chodoshim is coming down. A frishkeit, a renewal. All of us need a renewal energy-wise, a new ashpah, a new path of how to bring down the Sinor pipeline of Shefa so we can be able to mafanis and support our family and our loved ones. Everyone should be blessed with that. And all of you are welcome to partner with our Kimcha de Pesach. It's on our Facebook page, it's on our YouTube. We see the links all around. You can partner on our IG stories. We always put a link over there. You can partner with the Kimcha de Pesach. Very important that you give some charity before Pesach so you can experience the true Simchas Chag, because there's no Simchas Chag, there's no Simchas Yom Tov without doing some charity before the Yom Tov to help others who are not as fortunate as you, to help the people here. Unfortunately, many Aniyim still in Jerusalem. You'd be surprised the poverty that exists in this holy city, even though it's so advanced and high tech nowadays. But there's still so much challenges and poverty. Everyone there can reach out and support those causes. Here we go. Baruch Hashem. And we're going to just ask you again to tune in weekly to our Sunday class. We don't know yet who's going to be our guest, but we do know that we're going to focus on Pesach, on Pesach, the mouth speaks. We're going to focus on the preparations that we have now with Rosh Chodesh Nisan coming up and all the different special times that we're going to be in. Please God together. We're going to enjoy the spring months, enjoy the renewal that it brings. Please God, we're going to count the Sphira. We're going to have special classes together. Tune into that energy, all of us. Renew ourselves, renew our Avodas HaKodesh, renew our commitment to do the Ratzon Hashem, to elevate this world, and to bring a nachas ruach, a pleasing aroma, to make happy Hashem Yisbarach, and to go in the ways of our righteous sages, so that when they're passing, it cleans off the world already from a lot of judgment, a lot of negativity, because they go up there and they're Melis Yosha for us. They should be Melis Yosha. Rav Chaim Kanievsky ZT should be Melis Yosha for our generation, and should be able to pearl, please God, what he talked about so much, the Mashiach Sekenu. We should be able to see him come back to life through the resurrection, the Chias Mesim, be able to be part of that resurrection, be part of that breaking of the matrix, so we can see the true reality of what life is. Break through all the blockages, break through all the pain and suffering that people are going through internally, to clean it out. Entirely to have a pure heart. That's the paraduma brings us purity, so we can then get ready for Yemosah Mashiach, so we can elevate ourselves. How can we elevate? We have to remove a lot of the dirt, a lot of the baggage, a lot of the pain, a lot of the struggle, a lot of the stuff taking us away from our pure, sincere connection to our soul, to Chelek Alakaim, our mamish, to the souls in front of us. Remove all the impurity from the world. Remove all this addiction and confusion and distractions. Remove it from the earth. Remove it from our souls. This is the paraduma. It's purifying the world. Parshas Para, this week's Shabbos, and getting us ready for this Shmini, the Ma'ala Min HaTeva, the above this world kind of living, where we're elevating this world to a higher realm, and that brings us into Yemosah Mashiach, the Shir La'asid, the Kavod Hashem, to represent Hashem, to bring down His Shechina, to bring down His revelation, and please God, then we'll be ready to go ahead into the new month, the new time, the new Zman of Yismechu HaShamayim. So God, it's where the heavens and the earth will rejoice in yichud and unification. the unification between humanity, the unification between us and Shemayim, between us and God. This unification, this is what we're praying for, this is what we're hoping for. These unifications about Hashem taught would bring Mashiach, the Yichudim. So we're looking forward to experience that together. Everyone should realize that the souls, and we united souls, check out again the Substack, join all the links, partner, Emuna Tour, Emunalive.com. Make this bigger and bigger so the world can come to these true realities. And this is what will feature on these podcasts and all these different platforms. It will go global. The truth of Torah Kadosh, the truth of Emuna, the truth of Garden of Emuna, that all the different books will go global. People will have more of a relationship with Hashem. That's the panimis of the point. Don't get distracted by any of the side things that people try and distract us with, the Yetzer Hara, God forbid. Be clear, purify yourself, purify your heart. Bring it, as we mentioned last week, Rahmana Libaboy. We have to purify the heart to come closer to Hashem and be Zoch to Mashiach Sekeni B'mheir V'menu. Amen. And the Binyan by Shlishi, that's the building of the third temple, where we're all going to dance together, and we'll see once again all these righteous people joined, all the souls of all the generations joining together in this holy, holy place in this world. Amen. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos Parah, and I'm looking forward to our next Emuna class together on Sunday. Guests to be announced, and please God, our weekly Monday class together. I hope this was helpful. Share this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.